What up, people? I'm Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the January 12th, 2022 edition of AEW Dynamite. And man, this was a stacked card. Personally, and I've tweeted this out multiple times, it just, ever since New Year's Eve and the Tony Khan tweet that he tweeted out that involved Big Swole, that whole situation. I don't know. AEW just the programming's very it's missing something, and it me personally feels like because of that tweet like just is a cloud over all the AEW shows. That is just something that you just can't get out of, or can't stop thinking about. That's just me personally. Um, Other than that, I mean, it was a really good show. But again, going back to that tweet, it just seems like that's a cloud over AEW, which, um, unless something drastically happens and there's a change or something like that, it's probably going to be around AEW programming for a long time until something changes. But that's just how I feel. Um, but yeah, this show was it was cool. It was fun. There were some elements that um, kind of felt like WCW ish and everything, and some elements that I could see why some people would say, man, this was kind of like WWE Raw Light. It's fair. It's fair criticism. But yeah, this was a fun show. Right off the bat, you had Adam Cole come out with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, which was really cool. And it's like, oh, this is like NXT, but on a bigger stage. They come out. Adam Cole, he's doing his thing. He's running down the best friends and everything. The best friends come out. They just start fighting. Then Chris Statlander comes down. She confronts Adam Cole, and lo and behold, Britt Baker comes out, makes the save for Adam Cole. She starts beating her up, and Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, the Young Bucks come in, and that was a whole other thing that the Young Bucks came out and Adam Cole's kind of teasing like, hey, there should be, um, some, competition is good. That's how we're the best. And you could kind of tell that this is leading towards Adam Cole turning on the Young Bucks because you could tell it's just going in that direction. But yeah, getting back to the Britt Baker um, arrival and saving Adam Cole, so she saves him and everything. Everybody's in the ring, and of course, how the Young Bucks go to each side and try to kiss him on his cheeks, and Britt stops him, and she kisses her boyfriend Adam Cole, and this is the first time that they've acknowledged that Adam Cole um, and Britt Baker, are an item. Physically acknowledged it. Of course, they mention it over the air, but actually physically you see them. Oh wow, this is pretty cool. Which is about time. I've been saying it for a little over a year that another way that AEW can improve the women's division is by incorporating mostly all, and let me rephrase that, all the women into all 50 factions that they have. I mean, it's there. And good thing is, next week there's going to be a mixed tag match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker and Adam Cole. Gee, who would have thought that? Um, if she, if Big Swole, if her contract was renewed and stuff like that, I mentioned it like a year ago that she would have been a perfect fit with Private Party. That never materialized. I don't know what's the creative is in AEW, but there's a lot of things that they're hitting, but there's also a lot of things that they're missing on that's literally right there. That could just, that missing element. And I think today's show kind of showed that there's still some things that are missing, that they could drastically improve on. Um, for me, it was just a lot of, it was heavy on the talk segments, but like, I don't know, it was just the fluidity of it. It felt like it was on another level, but again, it just felt like something was missing. There's just this cloud over it. After that Adam Cole segment, you had MJF coming to the ring with Wardlow. Of course, this was Wardlow versus CM Punk, and man, Wardlow when he turns on MJF, and I know I say this every week, I tweet it every week, that is going to be magical. Because this match, Wardlow beat the crap out of CM Punk, powerbombed him at least 8 times, including through a table on the outside, put him back in the ring. And each time MJF's like, no, 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 don't pin him, don't pin him. No, 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 don't pin him. And he's interrupting Wardlow from getting the pin, which you could see a mile away. And then, of course, CM Punk rolls him up, 1, 2, 3, which me personally, I thought that was kind of like a weak finish. I would have rather preferred CM Punk get up and MJF or Wardlow takes CM Punk to MJF to punch him. He has a brass ring and CM Punk misses and hits Wardlow, knocks him out because of the ring. And Punk wins. I would have preferred that instead of the roll up because that was kind of weak considering that CM Punk basically got powerbombed like almost 10 times. I don't know. That's just one of the many things that I kind of like didn't care too much for on the show. After that, you had, of course, Hangman Page and comes out, huge pop and everything, and then everyone's favorite promo guy, Dan Lambert, comes out, interrupts Hangman, talks his smack, gets in the ring, does his thing, and who comes out? Lance Archer. He comes out. Looks like he's gonna beat up Dan Lambert, and no, he's beating up Hangman Page, which of course people are like, the rankings doesn't make sense, but we got to remember that at the beginning of the year the rankings reset. So technically he's kind of involved. He can go after the title. I don't know. I'm just getting a little bit fatigued with Dan Lambert's segments. It's almost like the same thing, and he's drawn from the same well as far as ideas and things to attack, that it's not like, ooh, that's interesting. It's kind of like, okay, been there, done that, been there, done that, been there, done yet. Which honestly AEW can do better than that. And don't get me wrong, Dan Lambert's a great promo guy, but like the way they're using him is just so repetitive and just, it's not entertaining. Like, you don't want to watch it. And a few times that he's been on AEW television, I've turned the channel. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. And hey, I don't know what's going on in AEW, just that creative. Like, and it's not only AEW. This is a side note. This is actually in a lot of professional wrestling companies, if not all. As a wrestling fan for more than 30 years, I really want to ask this question: that are these wrestling companies going back and watching their shows? Because there's a lot of things that if you have a script or you have bullet points or an outline, you can spot like, hey, this doesn't fit here. No, this goes here. No, this goes here. Like, it's just things that just don't, it's no fluidity in some spots. And tonight was one of those things. It's just really, there's a lot of things that just came out of the blue that just didn't, maybe they're testing something, it just didn't flow. From there, you had Arn Anderson backstage with Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, and Tony Schiavone's interviewing and everything, and they get interrupted by Tully Blanchard and FTR. FTR issues a challenge to Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson accepts. So we're going to have that match between Lee Johnson, Brock Anderson versus FTR. And this was actually a cool segment, and it was logical for the simple fact that AEW has been teasing either Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard are going to come to blows, or at some point, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard will reunite. And I want the latter. I want Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard to reunite because that is so cool, and it would freshen up things, which I think they're leaning to that way. I hope they do. And then again, we might get a crazy thing. We might get Cody Rhodes turning heel with Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard and FTR join them. Might happen. But yeah, so we're going to get that match. I don't know. I think it's next week or something like that, or Rampage. I don't know. I think it's Rampage. So after that, we had the Shida Deeb match. That was a dope match. even though it was quick. I know some people are like, oh, it should have been more. But the way they've been going about, like, this is one of the few feuds, whether it's the men's division or the women's division, that actually make some sense and have some continuity that isn't sporadic or anything. It's legit a hatred for one person and another, and it's not based on any shot from another promotion. It's literally a competitive hate. And the way Shida, when Shida came out, Serena Deeb came out and like attacked her knee. I tweeted this. It reminded me of when Rick Rude attacked Sting at Clash of the Champions and knocked his knee, and Sting wound up losing the U.S. title. But man, Serena Deeb worked her over, and I mean to the point where the ref stopped the match. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that because it wasn't. They didn't try to force a match out of something like, oh, her knee, can she compete? Can she compete? Like, it was just like Serena Deeb just nixed that. Like, nah, you ain't wrestling tonight. So that was pretty cool. Then after that, you had a really, really cool match between Penta and, oh my God, who was he fighting against? Who was he fighting against? Matt Hardy. There you go. I had to check my notes. So yeah, you had Penta versus Matt Hardy. Pretty easy match with Penta and everything. He calls out Malachi Black, which was pretty shocking and surprising. And as that's going on, and Alex Alejandro, he's interpreting for him and stuff like that. Lights go out. Malachi Black comes out. Him and Penta are going back and forth. And then the Varsity Blondes with Julia Hart come out, and they start attacking Malachi Black. And then Julia Hart stops them. It's like, no, no, no. He deserves more. He deserves more. The lights go back out again. And lo and behold, we've been waiting for this for a couple weeks. Shout out to Cassidy Haynes from Bodyslam.net because he reported it. We get to see Brody King, formerly from Ring of Honor. He debuted, and man, he made an impact. And I kid you not, the visual of him with Malachi Black is perfect. That's one of the few things on this show that visual, you look at it, you're like, ooh, that's interesting. I like that. That was a really cool spot. I enjoyed it. I was like, yes, finally, him. I know there was a few pictures and a few videos of Malachi Black and Brody King teaming up in PWG. I think over the summer, fall, or something like that. So that was pretty cool to see them there. Let's see where this goes. It's going to be fun. Who else is going to be added to the House of Black? Don't know. I know there's been pictures of Malachi Black with Isaiah Swerve Scott. Who knows? That might be something. Just got to wait and see. Then you had the Acclaim. They wrestled against Bear Country. I like the fact that if there's a few bright spots that I did like about tonight's AEW Dynamite, was that you showcased Wardlow, you showcased Hobbs and Dante Martin, you highlighted Penta, you highlighted the Acclaimed, and of course I'll get to the main event, Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara. So this actually, even though it felt like it was just something was missing, it was actually a cool Dynamite that showcased a lot of young talent in major spots. And it wasn't what it was maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, when they were showcasing showcasing young talent in major spots. Like, hey, this is the potential. It's like now we're showcasing them, and okay, we know they kind of lived up to some of their potential. Now we're going to maximize it, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the Acclaimed, they beat Bear Country, and in their rap going to the ring, they mentioned Sting and Darby Allin. After the match, they're heading out. Lights go out. Sting comes out. Darby Allin, they beat them up. So eventually, we're gonna get that match. That was pretty fun. But yeah, it's just one of those things that with AEW Dynamite, it's like they have these moments where they hit, and then there's these moments where it's just like, all right, okay. And again, it goes back to my point. Are these? It's not an AEW thing. This is a pro wrestling thing, and it's for these companies that have these TV deals. Are they going back and watching their shows? Because if you go back and watch your show, you can tie up a lot of stuff, that inconsistencies, the next week. And it seems like it's a repeated pattern, and it's almost like it's, in some cases, it's lazy. In other cases, it's like creative fatigue, where a person or persons are taking on too much creatively, that they're not having someone filter their creativity, or a team filter their creativity. And I noticed that tonight, and I've been noticing a while with a lot of pro wrestling programs, that it's like, hey, you guys need to go back and check your, whether it's a script, bullet points, you need to go back and check that and make sure it makes sense, and not, oh wow, this is pretty, we're gonna have a fun show. No, it's, some stuff don't make sense. So yeah, after that you had Matt Hardy in backstage with Private Party being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and Andrade comes out, he's making his pitch, you like money, this, and Matt Hardy's like, you know what, let's talk in my office. So let's see what happens with Matt Hardy and Andrade going forward. Let's see where this goes. Obviously, with Matt Hardy, for the past few weeks, ever since his brother was released from WWE, he's been using delete a lot. And knowing AEW, eventually, maybe by March or something like that, I personally think we're going to see the Hardy Boys in AEW. That's just Matt's way of dropping hints. I think it's inevitable we see them there. It would be pretty cool. I do think AEW is restocking their roster. You know, there were some contracts that were signed for 2 years that are expiring this year. So maybe there's some contracts that they're just letting go out. I know there's a lot of wrestlers that we haven't seen in a while that you're starting to see appear in a lot of independent bookings. That's one sign that, you know what, they might be going elsewhere. As long as they got a place to go. If they don't have a place to go, then that sucks. But if they're going elsewhere and moving on, I'm glad they're getting some work instead of no work. And then, of course, the main event, you got Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, which for me, this was the match of the night. Shout out to Daniel Garcia. I love the fact that this dude is a legit technical wrestler, but I like that he applies a tenacity and intensity with his work. That he's not some showboat or ballet, so to speak. I mean, he's intense. He's knocking. He's hard-nosed, man. In a way, it reminds me of a more grittier Dean Malenko, but man, he's the real deal. This was a pretty cool match. I don't know. It's just something about Sammy Guevara's matches lately. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're still like AEW, move on from the inner circle. And that's what the whole thing is at ringside was with Eddie Kingston there and Chris Jericho at ringside. They don't like Daniel Garcia. They don't like 2.0 or anything like that. And you could see them barking back and forth. Eddie Kingston's talking smack to Sammy Guevara and things like that. I think what it comes down to, and I know AEW likes to tell a story and stuff like that, but there's certain times where you just got to tell a story quick. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with AEW is that the stories that they need to extend, they extend too long, and then the stories that they need to wrap up quickly, they extend too long. Like, no, you gotta get this. Everything that Eddie Kingston said, as far as Santana Ortiz would be world champ if it wasn't for Chris Jericho, is 100% fact, and that is what most people on social media who love Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston have been saying for the past 2 years. They need to get out of the inner circle. They do not fit. Of course, backstage, hey, they're buddies and everything. But on screen, as a fan, and I know other fans think this, Santana and Ortiz need to be with Eddie Kingston now moving forward. Right now, it's kind of annoying me that they're going through this whole thing with Jericho. But if the outcome is Santana and Ortiz turning on Jericho and aligning themselves with Eddie Kingston, yes, I will love this. I hope it happens. But yeah, getting back to this match, it was a really solid match. It almost looked like Daniel Garcia was going to take the TNT title, but he didn't. And Sammy Guevara came out. Of course, 2.0 came out. They beat up Eddie Kingston. They attacked Jericho. They went in the ring. They attacked them. Then all of a sudden, Eddie Kingston and Jericho come back in. They beat them up. And Eddie Kingston was going to hit one of the members from 2.0. And Jericho hit him with the baseball bat. Eddie's like, yo, what are you doing? And he shoved Jericho. And you hear the crowd like, yes, yes, yes. And it's like, ooh, Eddie Kingston, please. Eddie, please. Eddie, please. And this is, again, this goes back to AEW. And I hope, I know it's not a popular thing with AEW as far as taking criticism, which is kind of the reputation that's somewhat out there that precedes them. You got to start listening to the crowd. You know, of course, on interviews and stuff, yeah, we listen to the crowd. No, you need to listen to the crowd, because Eddie Kingston and Santana Ortiz belong together. The women and their that you have on your roster deserve to be in all these factions that you have. They're Layla Hirsch, Team Taz, Jade Cargill, Pinnacle. Who else? You got Chris Statlander. You know, Ruby Soho. You know, she could be with what? Who was another team that she could be with? I can't think of one of the teams. You know, Anna Jay could be with Jurassic Express, even though she's with the Dark Order, because she's affiliated with Jungle Boy. But yeah, AEW Dynamite, this was a pretty cool show. I wouldn't say this was a missable show. If you're watching it, there's certain spots I could see why you would fast forward. Let's see what happens on Rampage and next week. But yeah, AEW, you got to do better. You got to do better as far as fluidity, consistency, repetition, and just come on, man. You could do better. You could do better than this. Hopefully they will. But yeah, for me personally, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of this video, it feels like there's a cloud over AEW since that Tony Khan tweet from New Year's Eve. Shows have been good, but it seems like there's a damn cloud, and I don't know when that cloud's leaving or how long it's going to be there, but it's there. So that is my review of the January 12th, 2022 edition of AEW Dynamite. I'm Dedrian Colon. Follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Like, share, comment this video, and thank you guys for the love and support and the follows, the likes, the shares, and everything on all social media platforms. But thank you. I'm Dedrian Colon. This is House of Wrestling. I'll see you next time.